There is no one... The problem is there is no one test for sepsis. There is no one sign that says, I've got sepsis. Because
all those symptoms.
You can imagine...
You say, oh, I've had a bit too much to drink,
Exactly.
or I'm tired, or I must have a little virus, or...
Often it will get confused for a hangover or for flu. And actually, for the vast majority of infections, they won't turn into sepsis. But we need to be clued up as to when to ask, hang on, could this be sepsis? This isn't getting better. I've been unwell. I've got signs of an infection, but this is worse than it should be. And that's why people like the UK Sepsis Trust have done a lot of work to get people to recognise the symptoms and just have the confidence to say, pick up the phone, speak to a healthcare professional and say, could this be sepsis?
So if you, say you were thinking you had flu or a little virus, what's the first warning bell where you think this probably isn't flu, it could be sepsis?
Well, the signs are slightly different for adults and children. For adults, there's a really nice mnemonic. It's actually sepsis itself. So signs of an infection, so slurred speech, extreme muscle pain or shivering, passing no urine, severe breathlessness, an impending sense of doom or that you're going to die.
You said you felt.
Yeah, I definitely felt that.
And the final one is abnormal skin. So you might be very cold, you might be mottled, you might have a rash. Similar sort of signs in children, but small babies, it's even harder to spot. They may just be poorly feeding and vomiting.
You have lived to tell the tale, although you thought you weren't going to. And incidentally, that sense of foreboding she had, that sense that I'm going to die, apparently that's tied into it as well?
Yeah, it is. And actually, the other condition that you get that in is a heart attack. You get that impending sense of doom. We don't know why it happens, but obviously your body's trying to tell you something.
Gosh. So, that all happened last September.
Yeah.
Why do you want to talk about it? Why do you want to highlight all of this?
Just to raise awareness of it, because obviously I had no idea what it was. Even when I went into hospital, I still thought... When I rang the ambulance, I just thought, oh, I'm dehydrated. I still didn't think, like, oh, there's something really, really wrong. I knew there was something wrong, but I didn't know it was sepsis.
And like you said, Duncan, you had to Google it, because you think, well, what is this?
Yeah, I'd never heard of it or realised how dangerous it was.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think she was probably only a few hours away from dying, because if she hadn't phoned at that time and waited a few more hours, I think it would have been too late.
We're all sitting here and we're talking very calmly about this now. I reckon it must have been very different for you at the time.
Yes, it was, but when I realised what it was, she was over it and she was in the hospital and being treated, and she was very weak. And so I hadn't had to sit and wait for the result. It was gone, it was finished, I was on the way.
Well, you were very lucky, and thank you for talking about it, because you said, like you said, and I saw you nodding when Ranj said if you haven't passed water for a long time.
Yeah,
you realise that now.
But I didn't notice that at the time. It was when a nurse actually said at the hospital, and I kind of went, oh, yeah, I haven't.
So not passing urine for a long time is
exactly.
another...
Just have the confidence to pick up the phone, speak to a healthcare professional and just ask, could this be sepsis? And automatically it triggers everybody to look out for those specific signs. Because the important thing is get treatment in early.
Your two children, Ava and Austin, 6 and 9.
Yeah.
You know, obviously awful, but there's humour in everything. So when they found out that you were ill and you were in hospital, what was the reaction?
Well, they were there when the ambulance came. I'd had to ring my sister Jenny to come in and pick them up and take them to school. And then the ambulance came, and they were sort of a bit scared and a bit like, well, what's going on? But then later, when they came in to visit me, my son was a bit like, what was it like with the flashing lights on? And he was really excited about it. And he was like, oh, it's OK, Mummy's OK, so let's talk about it now.
Let's talk about flashing
lights.
Abby, thank you very much indeed. Duncan, appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Ranj, as well.